I escaped a death cult. Not dropping names or anything out of respect for the dead, but it was a cult called the Eyes of Light. It was based in the bayou in Louisiana. My family got brainwashed and joined the cult when I was very young, so I never knew any different. The cult has roughly 50 or so members. I'm calling it a death cult because certain members went missing and were forced into a van, and when the van returned the members were covered in blood and we had to do hours of silent praying for their soul. I escaped after one of the elders beat me the near death for refusing to submit as his personal slave for sinning. I ran into the woods, or bayou depending on who you ask, and came across the highway where some guys saw me beaten and bloody and took me to the hospital and called the cops. I told my story and even the cops didn't believe me, thinking I was some runaway. They tried to contact my parent, obviously to no results, and kept me in a foster home where I stayed until I was 18 and kicked out. I did manage to get a job during that time, so I was able to live out of a hotel for a while, and now here I'm on my 21st day drinking my first legal beer. Holy shit. That's crazy. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I'm a cult survivor, albeit not as terrifying as yours. How are you dealing with adjusting to the world outside? Better now since I have a somewhat stable job, girlfriend, so apartment. How did you meet your GF? What was the cult based on? Were you worshipping something in particular? The Christian God? That's terrible. My family is Christian and it's nothing like you described. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. A lot of people take the Bible and twist it to fit their own wants and desires, while leaving out the important stuff like don't kill people or don't rape people, hence the crusades. If you can, contact the authorities to go investigate them. Since you escaped, have you tried to do anything else to bring the cult down? Do you plan to? Do you know anything about your family members who are still in the cult? Kinda. I told my friends at the car shop my story. Them being tough ass rednecks decided to go out there and try to save my parents and get revenge on the elder who beat me. But they got up and moved because after several hours of searching we finally found the actual location. But they all left, and what seems to be in a hurry, since a lot of the stuff was left behind. For some odd reason I broke down crying the second we went into the house, then a great joy came over it. I could never fully explain it, but a lot of horrible flashbacks showed up. And no, I haven't had any contact except for a letter my dad sent me that was just his signature and the letters L.E.O. on it. That really sucks. Thanks for sharing, and I hope you reunite with them someday. During the process of the police attempting to contact your parents, was there ever any more effort put into investigating the cult? Did they eventually believe you? 1. Not really. They drove me out to where the guys found me, and I tried to retrace me steps, but the cops got scared of wildlife or getting lost, so they called it off. Thanks for your response. Your story sounds terrifying and difficult. What supports do you have to help guide you into life outside? Have you had any communication with your friends or family you left behind? What's next for you? 1. I wasn't allowed in the foster home between 8 AM and 6 AM, except on Sunday, so days I didn't work I mainly just walked the streets and started volunteering, where I met a guy from a local church who I told my story to, and he helped me get my GED and trade school degree. 2. I received a letter from my dad with just his signature on it and the letter L.E.O. written on it, and I can't figure out what it means. 3. I got a job as a car mechanic right now. I feel like the initials could be a reference to the name you mentioned, Eyes of Light, just rearranged differently. You speak a lot different from the way people of the bayou do. You must have had some schooling in this cult. Happy birthday. Is there anything you were surprised about out of the cult? I have a friend who escaped a cult and was surprised that short shorts existed. They never had a reference for shorts other than underwear, let alone short shorts. I guess I was kinda the same way. Like at the shop they were talking about strip clubs, and I was like, you mean to tell me girls willingly show their bodies? That's absolutely awful. Christ. I didn't know our state had such horrible cults. I'm so sorry. From my understanding, cults are really dying out. I went to LSU and talked to a professor about it because he had some good knowledge on cults and maybe he can translate the letter, but to no avail. According to him, cults are dying out, and the ones that are running around the bayou today are just kids playing with voodoo dolls and reading books they got for voodoo shops. What letter? I'm intrigued. Since you were born in that cult, when did you start to notice it's not normal to live like that? I wasn't actually born in the cult. My family joined when I was very young. And I never really did, since when we did have outings in town we were told anything we see is just the devil distracting us, so that's what I always thought. What was your worst memory in the cult? This is gonna sound cliche, but the entire time was pure hell. I just always thought, if I put up with the abuse God would repay me. Were they following a religion? Christianity. If they execute their members and can be defined as a cult, I wouldn't call it Christianity. When did you realize that this was wrong? I don't think I ever really did until I left. Do you have any siblings? No, thank God. Why thank God? What else did the cult do? And what about your grandparents? Just made us do chores until our leader decided for us to stop to rest, eat, or worship. How about your grandparents? Were they in the cult? Would you want to see your family again? TBH, yes I would. 1. What do you know about the cult now? 2. Did you have friends your age there? 3. How much effort did the cops make to find your family? Did you want them to? 4. What advice would you give someone to help someone else leave a cult? 5. What was something you thought was super normal when you were in the cult that you now realize isn't normal at all? When did it suddenly click for you that you needed to escape? What else are you supposed to do when you're getting beat with a PVC pipe for not wanting to be a slave to an old man after you were caught with a morning erection? I was super confused by the parent comment too, so thank you for that perfect response. But I think they might have missed that in your post. It's good to see you're doing better now. You're incredibly brave for enduring what you have. I hope you're enjoying that first, hopefully second/third, legal beer, to risk this being too long of a response. Did you mention how long this cult has existed? We don't have to dig back into the nitty-gritty, I'm just curious. Take care and enjoy the rest of your birthday, Slintmaith. Do you still follow the same religion that the cult followed? Christianity, yes. Interesting, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I see a lot of people coming from similar situations go toward the extreme opposite and go against that religion. Happy birthday. I'm an ex-Mormon, and some people call the Mormon church a cult because it fits in with the BITE model: behavior control, information control, thought control, emotion control. The Mormons aren't nearly as crazy as the Eyes of Light anymore. They haven't really killed anyone since 1890s. So I'm kinda curious to hear from someone who was part of a much more extreme cult than my own. What areas in the BITE model did your cult control in? How? This sounds a lot like that Hulu show Handmaids. That's probably because the author of Handmaid's Tale was inspired by real life events, real life cults, and real life extremists, on a smaller scale than in her book, obviously. But her book represents a real possibility. Just look at how Saudi Arabia is for a slightly less extreme example. What's been your favorite thing to do ever since you escaped? Watch sports. You got favorite teams or sports? New Orleans teams, I'm guessing. Hey kiddo, happy birthday. Listen, you have decades of living to do. A whole massive amount of possibilities in life ahead of you. How amazing it is that you now get to choose to do anything you want with your life. Travel, go to school, have babies, anything. It's all you. All you. Take this life that you fought for yourself and keep fighting. Follow any dreams you may have. The world is truly your oyster. It seems unbearably sad to not have family, but with that is no strings. So do whatever you want and find joy in your life. It's straight up adventure time for you, man. If I was 21 right now, I'd travel the world. I'd trek in Nepal, volunteer anywhere in Africa, learn as many languages as I could. It's like you are at a crossroads with thousands of choices, millions. So, what are you going to do tomorrow? Hint: anything you want. Damn, I'm excited for you. Have a great life. L. I see you mentioned you still follow Christianity. Did the cult have any real Bibles? Like, is the written word all the same and their interpretation of it was overboard? Or did they embellish the Bible, and now that you have escaped you can read the real one? Help me understand. If they were using the same teachings and just interpreting it in a horrible way, how does it feel now to understand a non-cult sense of religion? They took out of Bible verses way out of context, as do many Christians. No questions. Just want to say I'm really glad you got out and are doing better. Live well, my friend. Is this cult still a thing? Probably, but I hope not. This sound like a legit scene from a horror movie. I'm so sorry this happened to you. What did the cult believe in? God punishing the world for sins? I mean, more specifically, were they a Christian cult? Syncretic voodoo? Can you highlight any of their particular beliefs that differentiate them from other religions or cults? Did you get any schooling in the cult? If so, anything useful or mostly religious/cult stuff? I'm glad you got out. I'm sorry you had to leave your family behind. Do you face troubles in your daily life because of what you experienced in your cult? Are you still trying to erase the images you saw while there? Sorry to hear this, man. You went through something so profoundly terrifying. Your story trumps most people's idea of scary, to say the least. I gotta ask about what attracted people to the cult. What benefits did people get? Weird harem sex slaves, for example. Or even maybe they got a job they wanted in some way or another. Your story is fascinating, and I study tribal human bullshit professionally. What were the followers like? The ones who chose to join? Did they have an empty hole in their soul they were trying to fill? Thank you for sharing, BTW. What kind of food did you eat? Mainly fish, fruit and veggies. What did he mean by personal slave? I started watch Prison Break, so I'm assuming he would treat me like Back did. I'm gonna pretend like I know what Prison Break is. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.